The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome to another week, another day of the Power Trading Hour with your humble and squeezably soft host, me, into another excellent edition of this show. As always, we've got a market that starts off at about this time. Now all I got to do is find it. There we go.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
And we're up almost 14 points in the S&P cash. As much as CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS and NBC and the rest of them wanted to start a war over the weekend, apparently nothing happened. I guess they were bored and thought that little fireworks would start everything off. About the most dour I've seen the press on the future of America in a while, and very strange to me because I just don't see that when I'm driving to the grocery store. Kind of trying to drive opinion instead of report it. But generally, when everybody's watching for a pot to boil, it just does not happen. And kind of exactly what happened over the weekend. Everybody, they were ready, duck and cover, jump under your desk. The end of the world's coming. The Koreans are going to nuke us. Just didn't work out that way. I guess there is a bit to selling doom and gloom. I just don't see those facts lining up right now. Everybody, except probably a handful of North Koreans, have far too much to lose. So what do we have going on? Well, we are up. Volume, can we actually make a lot of it? I think we can. Volume's actually, well, maybe this is not updated. Let's take a look at it here again. Volume is okay. It's not good. It's not bad. But again, what are we looking for? We're waiting on earnings after the bell. Tonight we've got Netflix and really going through Thursday. I think by Thursday we'll kind of have a handle on it. For my short-term trading, I'm pretty much all in cash. Too much could happen. An individual comment could actually move the market. I'm pretty good at figuring out what a lot of people will do. It's kind of tough to figure out what one or two people in an executive position at a company will do come on earnings. There was actually a couple of companies out with fairly decent earnings over the last few days. Maybe it was this morning, the one I was thinking of. And they just said, we're forecasting, I think it was a steel company. I think they were forecasting lower profits, but higher revenues. And of course, the market didn't like that at all. I just really couldn't figure out where they were figuring out all this increased cost was going to come. Market did not like that news at all. But again, do they truly know that expenses are going much higher? It's hard for me to figure out. They're using electric to create steel. You don't burn coal or anything else. You basically generate electricity. Well, I guess you do burn coal to burn electricity, but I didn't really see anything that said any of that stuff is going higher. So it was kind of hard for me to scratch my head. So I guess when the market hears that, that's doesn't make sense. Better sell first and ask questions later. So anyway, long weekend. Generally, we see a little bit of difference after a long weekend in the character of the market, especially in the summer months. But even now, you get 3 days off. People get a little bit of time to take a breath, especially traders, come back, reevaluate the world. And, of course, if you went into Thursday night and you were watching cable news, you were, ready for the end of the world. It was Armageddon all over again. Did you catch that? So not really surprised that we had a nice bounce out today. When I think I said it in my newsletter on Thursday, and I will quote myself yet again. If you're betting on the end of the world, remember, there won't be a counterparty to pay off. So it just never seems to be, when everybody is depressed and demoralized, pretty good time to actually go long. Do I know what anybody's going to say at Netflix about the future of the company? No. We'll look at the chart, but I don't really think. I went through a lot of them over the weekend. I just really didn't see a lot. I'm more than happy to sit in cash. That's actually a position, and a position that you can use regularly. But I do digress. What we really need to do is start this show off with a little bit of history.
That it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
It is history repeating on this day in 1964. The Ford Mustang, the two-seat mid-engine sport car. Who wrote that? It's not a mid-engine. It's a front engine. Sports car is officially unveiled by Henry Ford II at the World's Fair in Flushing Meadows, New York. That same day, the new car also debuted in Ford showrooms across America, and almost 22,000 Mustangs were immediately snapped up by buyers. This is bothering me. I didn't notice that earlier. Mid-engine sports car. It's a front-engine sports car. The engine sits right between the front two wheels. Ugh. Anyway, named for a World War II fighter plane, the Mustang was the first of its type, a vehicle that became known as the pony cars. Ford sold more than 400,000 Mustangs within its first year of production, far exceeding sales expectation. I was a Dodge fan and bought a Challenger and then had a Barracuda. But I did like the pony cars, at least my first cars. I don't have to say that they were built to last, though. Mine was 6 years old and about ready for the boneyard when I bought my first one. On this day in 1964. What else is going on? Had several emails over the weekend asking me about what this meant. The JNUG offered effective or announced on Thursday that effective immediately that daily creation of orders in the junior miners 3X shares leveraged exchange traded fund, otherwise known as JNUG, are temporarily suspended until further notice. A lot of people really didn't understand what went on in that, and there's a line in that press release that's more important that we'll get to in a second. But at any time, should demand exceed supply during the creation of units, the fund could trade at a premium to its net asset value, NAV. But what happens? You don't get 2X and 3X unless there are people willing to sell futures and or options in whatever you are trading, whether it's JNUG or anything else, especially with a smaller market. When you actually look at the gold miners compared to the bond market, it's a thimble next to the ocean. These things are not heavily traded already, at least for huge dollar amounts. And if you don't have people willing to sell puts and calls and futures, you can't create these things. You can't make a share, and that's basically what they're saying. We'll talk more about the NAV when we come back, but this is what you really need to watch for when they give an announcement like this. We'll talk about it.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And the dollar index off 42 cents at $100.07, still holding at least a psychological above 100 level. We'll see how that does this week also. What do we have? Crude, is that right? Just want to make sure. Maybe I've got to update these. Yeah, just want to make sure. Off 48 cents at 52.70 on my last quote. Gold up $2.70 at 1291.20. And we'll go back here and look real quick. Yeah, still up 13 and 70 cents on the S&P cash. Again, volume comes in so late in the days, pretty much for the last few months, that it's very hard to get a real handle on what the volume of the day is going to be. But we will persevere. Anyway, I wanted to just put a sharp point on this, and that is, should demand exceed supply during the period that creation units are limited, the fund could trade at a premium to its net asset value, i.e., you could pay more than it's worth, and when and if new puts and calls and futures are available in the gold market and in the equities, you could see that premium fall fairly quickly. So again, this is going to act more like futures, in which you can have contango and contagion back in these when you're trading them. The question I had from somebody was whether or not I would trade these. And since you don't know the underlying of what's in these, if you weren't in them, I don't think I would be jumping in this particular product anytime soon. I'd wait for the dust to settle. I know a lot of people that would not trade it at all. But that's probably personal preference. Anyway, as always, a lot of interesting stuff going on. We'll get to that. What do we got here? wanted to look at some of these. MoneyGram, a nice gap up today, even though the U.S. government is somewhat complaining that this may be a problem because it's Alibaba, one of Alibaba's octopus-like company structures that wants to buy MoneyGram, the money order company. They think that it could be a problem having a foreign government having control over a U.S. Money system, or at least part of it. And none too happy, but I don't know. It looks like a lot of people don't think that anybody's going to stand in the way. This thing gapped up again today with some fairly decent volume. Let's see what else we have out here. Not much in the way of 52-week highs and lows. Let's go to the 52-week highs. Again, the MGA was one. CNAT is another. Cononus Pharmaceutical, CNAT. Little spike on this, but it kind of gave it back again. Kind of a broad market without a lot of individual stocks giving some big signals. We'll get to the movers of the day here. Again, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648. You can email me at path@tfnn.com. And, of course, you can post a message in the den if you want me to look at anything. I just don't think that there's an overwhelming odds on either being short or long going to these earnings, other than, as I said in the newsletter this morning, a lot of people all on one side of the boat being short right now is not a good thing coming in if any of these earnings tend to be a little better than the world thinks. Abbott Laboratories kind of came down to this gap up, filled it, and is this little gap from the 13th of February. Not a big one, but it kind of filled it on Friday. It's popped up a little bit. One of the reasons why is it looks like a deal with Alere, A-L-E-R-E, I think is the name of the company, will go through. That popped up today on huge volume up to the top of its previous gap, going back to April 19th of 2016. So, well, we're almost talking a year exactly. This thing has gone back and filled this gap higher. A lot of, or pretty much not a lot of movement in this one, which is generally a fairly good indication that deal will go through, or at least a lot of people think it will go through. Cleveland Biolabs is the big winner today. CBLI. Very interesting company. Was doing a little reading on it pre-show, and I started digging into this, and what are all these animal protocols have to do with a drug for humans? This company makes a drug that really helps people that are taking chemotherapy, and there is a thing called an animal protocol, and that is where it's not ethical to test a drug on an animal, or you don't think that there's going to be any real, real efficacy. You can bypass that, or the FDA can actually bypass it and just say, okay, these people are dying anyway. You can try this drug out and see if it helps them a bit. And, no use torturing a bunch of animals because it's not going to make any difference. And it probably won't apply to humans. So anyway, this Cleveland Biolab, CBLI, gets approval for its drug to help radiation and chemotherapy patients and make them feel a little bit better. And, huge volume compared to everything else that's going on there. But isn't that Bios, feast or famine? Let's take a quick look at the IBB today. I haven't had much time to look at it. It really hadn't been doing much for a week, although I've seen a handful of stocks in this biotech sector start to act like maybe there's some kind of floor around this 287 to 290 level for the biotechs. But, just very light volume, even going back to the 27th of March. So we've had a couple of weeks where this thing hasn't really moved significantly and or with any kind of volume either up or down. IOTS. Trying to remember this one. Kind of a penny stock. Got through $5 today. In volume will probably be about the same as the previous high. IOTS is the symbol on that one. The big loser out here today. Where's a loser horn? I've got to find my loser horn. Where is it at? Snyder's Lance, big move down today. I haven't read about this. Let's take a quick look at the headlines. I just noticed that it was the biggest loser today. See, Snyder's announces that CEO Carl Lee Jr. is retired after 12 years of service to the company. Company selects former Diamond Foods CEO Brian Driscoll to step in as interim CEO. So they don't like it. They wanted a permanent captain at the helm. No captain. My captain. Yeah, anyway. Kind of hard to see that a CEO leaving is that big a deal, but I guess he's been there for 12 years. Anyway, exit stage left for that CEO. We'll be back after this.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find the Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And got a question then. It says, what is the investing impact of USA's renewed military activity as you see it? Well, I think most of it's been telegraphed already. But before, we put a line in the sand, people crossed it. They threatened to nuke us. We ignored it. I think the only thing is, at least so far, is that we're acting like, that we're not going to take it anymore. I don't know if there's much change to the plan that had been outlined going in to the election and after the election. That is, a lot of our planes are aging. So that, as far as the biggest parts of the spending bills, they're probably going to be wrapped around a lot of very aging helicopters and very aging F-16 fighters. Handful of other fighters too, but a lot of the F-16s, known to their pilots as Vipers, will, a lot of those planes are just literally, they're, I think, 20,000 hours or something, ridiculously high hours on them, and it's time to put them out to pasture or let them give them to third world countries and get some new planes that aren't as expensive to fly every day because of the extreme maintenance they need. So what is the investment? Everything in the Navy, I think probably shipbuilding a little bit higher, but Moab's dropped from a C-5, no, from a C-130, if I'm not mistaken. 21,000 pounds, that should be fine. I think it's out of the one I saw was dropped out of a C-130 plane, which is the big cargo plane that have been around. I think they started flying in 1954 or 56, around there. Most people, I still kind of amazed that for the TV that I watch, no one explained what a Moab is. It's a massive air burst weapon. And think of it this, each cup of gasoline is worth, what is that, 8 sticks of dynamite? I think that's the number. Maybe it's 2 sticks of dynamite. If it properly had air and could all go off at once. So what they did was make a chemical kind of like a gasoline that would vaporize very quickly into the air, and then a way of lighting it all at once so that it ignites kind of like in the cylinder of your gas-fired engine. All at once, though. Not a flame front that runs through it, but literally almost all at once. And by doing that, they can give the shock wave of a nuclear weapon without actually having a nuclear weapon. For years, it was called the poor man's nuclear weapon. And at its zenith in Russia, actually, where we were in the big space race in 1967, there was a giant rocket that was going to take the Russians to the moon if they could ever get it to work. They had some silly idea that putting 32 different rocket engines on the bottom and first stage of the rocket was a smart idea, because if one had just failed, you had a whole bunch of other ones. Unfortunately, when one of those rocket engines fails, it literally took out 20 more of them and failed spectacularly. But the idea, we'd already been dropping big weapons in Vietnam to blow down trees and forests and jungle so that we could land helicopters in it. But that was the biggest single night, I'm going to say late 1967, was the single biggest explosion that ever happened. The thing got about 50 or 100 feet off the launch pad and then blew up. And they found pieces of the rocket 5 miles away. And all it was oxygen and kerosene. But there was so much of it that when it blew up, that they found pieces 5 miles away. It burned for 2 hours. And people actually died 2 and 3 miles away. So everybody kind of figured out that maybe if you actually design something to do that instead of just kind of accidentally, that would be a good way to make a giant bomb. So it basically just spits a lot of gasoline out into the atmosphere and then blows up all of that at once it's got enough oxygen. But it's interesting. So anyway, And someone wanted A10 Warhogs. I took a flight in that with Colonel Chuck Buck in mid-'80s, late 80s, something like that. In an A10. Very interesting plane, by the way. But I do digress. It's kind of a quiet day out here. We're waiting for, and will be waiting for, Netflix before the end of the day. Back, maybe signs from the dead. Anyway, as far as I know, if you are investing in a world going forward, most of that money is going to be in planes, a lot of it in F-16s that are way too old, and a little bit of it in new versions of the B-2 bomber, and a lot of it in the Navy. So I don't know if there's that much money to be made. I certainly wouldn't be short the military, but I don't think that I think most of it's probably already in there. Most of it's already been asked for. And what else can you say? Westport Innovations. This is the company that once was, well, I guess you can say how the mighty have fallen. Let's go back. Well, this thing was $35.40 back on July 1st in 2013. The idea of this company was that they were going to turn a lot of pickup trucks and semis into natural gas using vehicles. Just never, ever got off the ground. But even at these low levels, eventually you're going to find a few buyers on some of these or some decent news. Westport Innovations actually, with a kind of a proof of life out here, had a nice little move today with lots of volume. If this thing could kind of come back down and base out with a light volume as a penny stock, it would be interesting. The problem always was that it was about $8,000 to take a Ford F-150 and convert it into natural gas. And the payoff was about 7 or 8 years. So it just never made sense to not use gasoline. And this company, of course, went from that $34 back down to 82 cents here fairly recently. But it just seemed like, you know, if there was a real market for this, it wouldn't be an aftermarket. It would be, you know, Ford actually building it themselves and maybe adding $500 to the cost of a Ford F-150 to do this. It just never panned out. $8,000 was far too expensive. And why a handful of people, mostly propane companies, bought this stuff, it just never went that far. Nice big bounce today on WPRT, though, Westport Innovations. We'll be back.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile based scanner in the industry. Powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
And we're at 14.5 points higher on the S&P cash volume. A little light, but again, man, if you don't wait until the last 15 or 20 minutes, maybe a little after Christmas, we started seeing just a huge amount of volume coming in late in the day, last 15 or 20 minutes. And you kind of have to wait until the ninth inning anymore to figure out exactly what the volume is. It is kind of light right now, but I'm not surprised. We didn't go down on significantly heavier volume come Thursday. But we did go down, and of course, one of the most bullish things you can do is go down on lighter volume into a 3-day weekend, and that we got a pop of 15 points out here. Nothing that I'd put a swing trade on, which is why I wouldn't bet on it. But at the same time, what do you got? Again, we got earnings probably through Thursday, and my guess is that unless we get every one of them a giant loser, we're going to have some winners, we're going to have some losers. Probably going to be Thursday before the market sorts out whether this earnings cycle is going to be good and or bad. Netflix is probably one of the harder ones to actually take a quick look at it. Harder ones to actually find out what they're doing. This thing basically at a double or triple top, depending on the way you want to look at it, is going to be hugely based not on earnings, I don't think, but on how much more money they're going to spend generating content. That's gone up astronomically. And as they go into foreign markets, is this a company that can exist pushing U.S. content into those foreign markets, especially Japan? They don't tend to watch a lot of U.S. movies. Germany, again, they tend to be kind of Deutschland centered, although they do watch a lot of U.S. content. Japan, probably the harder one. And, of course, what do you do when you go into China or some of these other ones? And, again, what's the expense of going into those countries? So it's a lot of expenses that what everybody's going to be looking at in Netflix. Its EPS going to be interesting. The call, I think, is going to be much more important to the long term. And I don't think that they do that until 5 o'clock tonight. So it'll probably go from about 5 to 5:30. I don't think you can make a great deal out of, unless they totally whiff, I don't think you can make a great deal out of the initial reaction. It's going to be, at least to me, going to be a lot more about what they spend on content and how expensive these foreign markets are that they got in. That's going to tell you a lot more about what the long-term future and profitability of this company is. And this is probably the first earnings cycle that we're going to get a very good read on what they did into the fall, where they did expand into a lot of foreign markets, what the cost is. You got to figure that, the internet that we have is fairly good. So it is in Europe. What is it in the rest of the world? Where they're getting into some 23 different markets, becomes a little tougher to figure out. What else do we have out here? Another loser is Timken Steel. Wanted to see how this one comes back in. It gapped up with some decent volume back on the 17th of February with 2.4 million shares. It has filled that gap and more today on just 1.5 million shares. You're back into this consolidation range that went from about the 27th of January to the 16th of February. And that's when you got the big gap up. You've kind of come back down. The energy's been a little bit more than you would like. And you could make a case, again, if a lot of volume comes in by the end of the day, that you're headed back down to $14.26 in Timken Steel, TMST. Today, what else do we have? OMED, Oncology Med, another gap down, but this one's already been beat up a lot in the press. Let's take a look at some of the other FANG stocks. Microsoft, again, a whole lot of nothing on no volume. Facebook, I tell you what, a lot of these companies, Google, Facebook, has been getting a lot of seriously bad press and very little, if any, reaction in the stock price itself. If you've missed it, somebody shot or killed somebody on a Facebook live feed, and it took them several hours to go figure out that it was on their site. So basically, Facebook dealing in snuff films, although they didn't know it. But again, fairly seedy for what's going on. Up on a lighter volume today, and again, probably much more driven by earnings than anything else. Let's take it Google real quick. Google's really been hammered in the foreign press, although it, again, seems to have very little to what's going on. I wrote in the Path of Least Resistance a lot of work that I've been doing with a product that Google does have, and I think a lot of people really are not looking past or probably looking past the search engine part and thinking much more about their web services part. Nice bounce today on some fairly decent juice so far, but again, we're going to have to wait till the end of the day before this does much. But I think a lot of people got a lot and fairly heavily short. You did break the previous January 27th high that had 3.75 million shares with 1.85 million shares. You came right back into the trading range to the downside on March 27th. You got into those candles on lighter volume, 1.5 million shares to 2.24. Overall, a little weaker than stronger. The answer is yes. Fundamentally, though, I'm looking at some new products in here that may mean that their web services division has a distinct advantage in at least the next 6 to 12 months over Amazon Web Services and Microsoft and Salesforce, too. So some pretty good things going on under the covers, under the hood at Google. And a lot of the stuff just kind of in the last week. In fact, I read a lot about this stuff. A lot of the stuff actually hit on Thursday and Friday. Read about it this weekend. But nice day for Google out here. What else do we have? Facebook. Let's take a look at some of the stuff that I have. We're getting ready to go to break anyway. I wanted to see how some of these stocks were doing. AEM certainly looks like it wants to go into this gap down that have a heavy volume of 4.45 million shares on the 16th of February. It looks, you would think that close to $1,300, I'd start seeing some volume and push up into that gap. So far, it's been rather light, but I'm expecting probably fairly good signal in AEM at that $48.50 level against that huge volume down day on the 16th of February. So we need to be watching that a little closer. Cracker Barrel, we'll come back with this one. Going to break now. But not a bad-looking stock out here. And we are in the land of Cracker Barrel. If you don't know, down here in Florida, all you got to do, it's the Stuckey's. Remember Stuckey's? You go 50 miles out of a city and you find a Stuckey's. That's kind of it. You go down all the interstates of Florida and you will find a Cracker Barrel somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. CBRL when we come back.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And what do we got going on? We were looking at Cracker Barrel. We'll look at a few more of these before the end of the show. Of course, stay tuned for Tom O'Brien for the next 2 hours. And, of course, especially in that 4 o'clock hour as earnings start to roll. Cracker Barrel, CBRL. Nice gap up with some juice, 900,000 shares back on the 22nd of November. It comes back at 400,000 shares, and that's on February 3rd. We get back into that again yet on April 13th. So a lot going on there. And I don't know if there's more that you can say about it other than that, but kind of interesting moves in this. But a little lighter volume yesterday. But again, this looks like this is going to be kind of an interesting area at 155. 5 below. If you're unfamiliar with this company, it's kind of like a dollar store, except everything's less than $5 instead of $1. This one had a previous high December 2nd at $45.32 with 4.5 million shares. Got into it on Wednesday last week with just 700,000 shares, but it is hanging up here at these highs, so keep an eye on it. Heartland Transportation Express, another one out here. Now this one is if I'm not mistaken, is a big truck semi company, a lot of transportations in the Midwest, kind of like a JB Hunt. This one came down and spiked into January 27th on 1.8 million shares at 1924. It's gone through that on Thursday with less than half the volume. It's back into the trading range today with light volume. Lamar Advertising, LAMR, another one that's come off the high, actually has a higher high out here on March 20th. That would be interesting. Your last low is February 24th at $73.02 with 1.2 million shares. It's gone through there. What'd you have? 370,000 shares on Thursday. Today, 452,000. So a lot of these stocks kind of coming back and not seeing a lot of juice down here. Again, waiting for earnings. NVIDIA, another one that is back up here on the highs. Or off the highs, excuse me, had a very good sign of the high with a test on February 7th of 18.6 million shares compared to 57 million shares on December 28th at that 119 level. So gave a good sign of a blow-off top. It's come back down here, started moving around between the $95 level and 110 level. Nice little pop out here. I'm not exactly sure when earnings are on this one. But energy is about the same up on the way down. What you really truly had was on Thursday a very light retest of the March 6th low with almost half the volume. So you got to look for an almost instant bounce. You're getting that today. Is there a lot of juice? No. You've got the 4th of April down on 31.7 million shares. So kind of, you're going to run into resistance at about $105, $106. So is there a lot of room to move in this one? Probably not. So I'd probably find a better risk-reward candidate somewhere. But, if this thing comes up in 106, 105 area, has a lot of juice, maybe it can get back up to the high one more time. I would be very worried about this one, though. There are a variety of factors out here that could mean this could be a stock that basically has seen its best days. Not that it's going out of business, but it may have had a confluence of things happen that drive it up to this level that may not happen again. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to. And we'll see you here tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.
You're watching Tiger TV.